Come on, let's have this argument.
Okay, this is an on-the-fly blab in regards to content creation on social media. Is content king in social media? And if not, why not? So on one hand, we have Lee, who has about 50 years of radio experience, saying that yes, content is king. And then we have, on the other hand, Eileen, who is a well-known blabber here, who
just came out the woodworks last week.
Who is she and also Bill's here. So the question is content king? And if not, why not? And I open the floor. Ladies first. Eileen, you said nah, it's not. Content is not king. Why not?
I disagree. I don't think content has ever been king. People like that phraseology, but I've seen people have some of the most outstanding content, but if you have nobody to see it or read it,
that doesn't mean it's not good content. If you said it's good content, then they failed at marketing. They didn't bring people to the content.
But in my opinion, connections and collaborations.
Well, of course, it's a step by step.
Lousy content that have the right connections.
Well, okay, let me ask you a question.
Okay, let's establish some phraseology. So content is stuff that people want to view or whatever, listen to, view. That is original, read, watch, whatever, original content that is something. And when I say content, in the sense that if content is king, is it a matter of which is more important, the content or the context? Like the podcasters, no offense to the podcasters, but the podcasters would tell me that my voice is too high, I don't know how to use my mic right, my background sucks, et cetera, and that they would say my content, by definition, is good because the context is not as good, that the content itself is not acceptable. And so Marcel, I haven't introduced you yet, Marcel. Give a little background about yourself, Marcel.
Background is in blab and radio and stuff. And in 2015, last year, I was a little more outspoken than I really even wanted to be and thought I was. Found out
you lie.
And in 2016, I vowed to be less outspoken, and I want to get along better and play along with the
we all just get along?
I'm not one who.
What are you taking your badge down? What are you saying?
I just thought about it, right? And I noticed, I was like, 'cause I have a strong idea about things most of the time. And in 2016, and it's really a perspective, right? It's one man's junk is another man's treasure, right? So one person might call somebody demanding when to other people that might be right on time. So as you just demonstrated, that's your perspective. And so what I'm trying to do is understand that various people come in with different perspectives and they think that's what it's all about. So they say you're this way when it's really them who are a certain way, who can't accept the way that you are.
Okay, that's fine. That's nice. Let's go back to the main point. Let's go back to the point.
Shelton, can I say something?
Yes,
can
ma'am.
I say something?
Yes,
true. I have had on more than one occasion people come to me, and I guess because some people like to call me the godmother here on Blab, and different names, and they'll say, "I got an idea. I want to put together some kind of a directory or a homepage where people can go to find the best blabs."
Yeah.
And I say, what does that mean? And if you do that, then how many blabs are going to be there? Like what, 5?
That's so subjective.
It's all relative about who calls something the best.
Exactly.
I have been in some of the blabs that other people would turn their nose up to, like, oh no, I'm not. And I've had the best fun. I've had the best time. Yeah.
But see, that's personal appeal,
okay,
and what have you. But
let's go back to the issue at hand. Lee, you've said in the past that you can use a loudspeaker. If you're producing quality content, people will say, wow, I want to listen to that, even though you're using a scratchy old loudspeaker. Explain your opinion on that relative to the fact that Eileen does not agree with you.
Okay. And I think Eileen and I actually agree. It's just the order in what we're talking about. I submit to you, based on all my broadcast experience and all the people that I've taught how to do this, is if you don't have your content together first, and let's say you don't, you go out and do all the marketing, you get people to come to your party, they're going to come one time, they're going to say, oh, wow, Lee knows how to bring people in, but the DJ was late and the food sucked and the drinks were weak, so the food, the drinks, the DJ, the pretty girls and the good looking guys and the environment is your content.
Yes.
So if you bring the people to the party before you have your content together, you crash and burn.
They're not coming back.
That's why I submit to you, content is king. It's imperative that you have that. If you go out and do your marketing first, you're not going to see the success that you hope for. And I've done it both ways.
Yes.
Trust me when I tell you.
Okay. That's
why I say content.
The reason I think that content is king is Matt Drudge. Matt Drudge's content, his context is horrible, but his content.
Yeah, his presentation is the ugliest, one of the ugliest sites on the internet.
But he continues to make about $1 million a year.
Yeah. Off
of a 20-year-old scandal, off the credibility he got from a 20-year-old scandal, and so that that says that shows you that context is not as important as content, I think. And I think, yes, Marcel.
No, this is just so when you're finished, you know that I wanted to go next. So I'm not interrupting.
No, I think that's telling.
Being a good student.
That's telling that Matt Drudge continues to be popular despite having the worst website on the planet. Because I'm a strong believer. Because like someone said to me, and again, I'm not picking on podcasters. It was just a podcaster that said that made the statement. He said to me, "What would you rather have? A car with no gas in it or no wheels?" And I said, "No wheels, because at least you get to go somewhere." So, like, you could say that the gas is the content and the wheels would be the context. So, Marcel, now.
Yeah, I was just going to add that sometimes and I agree with Lee, and I agree with what you're saying as well. But sometimes believe it or not, like, content is content, right? Your content can actually be merged with your with what your promotion, right? Does that make sense? Mm-hmm. Like, what you're promoting can be a part of your content. And like we used the example with Matt Drudge, he also has a niche or a niche market, right? Mm-hmm. That he developed, like you said, a long time ago, Shelton. He, did this thing. So he already has a core, what we call P1s, right? He has a core audience already established. And, there may be people who come in and break off because everybody's not going to like what you're doing, right? It's just a matter of, like Eileen may not like something about what I'm doing and somebody may think I'm a scientist, right? Great. So you have to establish a P1 audience, a niche market first, right? And then you feed that niche. You don't worry about these, P2, P3. You don't worry about them because they're going to come and go. You can't feed everybody. And this is the stuff that radio teaches us in TV that I think, and when I say this, I think sometimes people get pissed off because it sounds like I'm a little bit of an elitist, but people who are doing blabs and periscopes, they're just jumping in this thing for the first time. There's a lot that they're missing. They don't realize that there's a whole science that's been going on since the 20s, right?
I think a little bit earlier than the 20s, but anyway.
It's super serving your core audience is what he's saying.
Right. So it's just a lot missing just with even how, but what that's doing is that's changing the way people view the content too and appreciate the content. Like, everything's changing, right?
Oh, can I say something real
quick?
Because Michael Stelzner just came in the room, and I just want to say that I nominate Michael Stelzner for president of the internet. I just want to say that because a couple of podcasts that he had, And one of them recently, they were talking about the concept of blogging is dying. And it's ironic because I did a scope about how blogging is not dying. And then I listened to his podcast. And also I saw a couple of his predictions. And in all of the predictions that I saw for 2016, Michael mentioned Blab. And so therefore, Michael for president. And yes, in that case, content is king, but it's because I'm connected to Michael that I even know this. And this is why I've always said, and I've written articles about it. You guys know I've been blogging since 2009. And people have come back to me and said, you don't know what you're talking about. Content is king. Content is king. Content is important. Don't get me wrong. You got to have good content. But if you're not connected with the right people, if you don't have it in front of the right people, because also remember context. Something that we do here on Blab might bring hundreds of people in, but then you post it on YouTube and you get 2 views.
Well,
okay.
I guess this is where like Elise and I could have a knockdown drag out fight, which might be entertaining to other people. See, I'm a believer, and this is where Elise may barf on her screen. Fortunately, she's not on screen to see it, for us to see it. Is I'm a believer in organic growth of content. I believe that you can organically grow your brand through producing quality content, and if you produce quality content, then like the buzz generated by that production of quality content will grow your brand in an organic way. Elise, yes, Lee.
Your critical mass will grow organically if you have great content. If your content sucks, you're not going to gain critical mass. Period. And I don't give a damn what nobody tells you. That is the way it is. Period.
Don't get me wrong, Lee, and I agree with you there. Content is important. It's super important. I just don't think it's king. Because I know a lot of folks that put out lousy content that still got lots of followers.
Yeah, content is a relative term. See,
right.
the whole idea is content is a relative term, and that's why
it's about
appeal. That's why
appeal to
market or niche marketing. You got to first find your audience, just like you said, Lee. I agree. You have to establish who that. Because here's a perfect example in case people still don't get it. Right?
I got to jump out of here, guys, and go get something to eat. I'm being called here, but I'll come back because this is a great conversation. I love debate.
Real quick, let me say this.
Elise, I'd like to talk to Elise, see what she has to say. Okay, continue.
Let me finish this thought real quick. So when I was in radio, right, and I was a program director, the salespeople used to try to sell anything they could out there, right? And if we're an R&B radio station playing R. Kelly, and there's someone out there who wants to spend $500,000 doing an Elvis lookalike contest, I can't put that on my station. That's going to kill my station. But that's money. All they care about is the money. So it's important to know who you're targeting your thing to. And to people who love Elvis, R. Kelly sucks. It's the worst shit stuff ever.
Okay, James, I respectfully disagree with James. James Toff says branding and authority is king. I think, especially in social media, and the reason why I started this Blab is people kept saying, Shelton, you're producing quality content, and that's why blah, blah, blah. So I was like, well, is that true? I mean, is content king? I mean, because like I find like I don't really do anything. I eat Hot Pockets and talk to people as I eat Hot Pockets. I mean, God.
Hey, remember we had the Blab Awards? You missed it, Marcel. The Blab Awards was so much fun. Wow, Elise still has her ring around her if she's still in the room. And the Blab Awards. The Blab Awards is all crowdfunded. This was not official thing from Team Blab or anything. It was like John Pinto, JS, and Vincenzo Landino got in on it, and Jennifer Quinn and Colin, and they made the categories, and some of the categories were totally stupid, like best hair, best lips, biggest jerk, which is the one Elise won. Which, she was the only person nominated for that one, so she won. But it was all voted on by the people in the community and the people who knew. First of all, you had to know there was a place to go and vote, and then folks voted. And so some of the winners, folks may be, like a little upset, like maybe I should have won that award, or maybe so-and-so should have won that award, but it was a popularity contest. So on Blab, it was about your people, getting your people to go over there and vote for you.
Let's talk about tribes. Now, it's my impression that one of the concepts is that you have tribes in social media. And I've seen the power of tribes in that a young lady named who goes by the Namakura, Yo Pickles, when her first day on the Blab, she brought over like 20 people from Periscope to Blab. That's a big. I mean, for Blab, that's a big deal.
Mm-hmm.
I can't even get a person. I can't even get a person to open the door for me. Much less come on to different social media platforms.
She's a tattoo artist.
Yeah, she's a different. She's the
who lives in Korea.
Yeah, she's in Hawaii right now.
Right.
So anyway, let's talk about that. The power. Do you think, content-wise, this goes to what Eileen's talking about? The influence of getting people to watch your content. Like, do you think Periscope is more engaging as for content creation, in that people when they come to like your content, they'll do something for you, like they'll buy a product that you bring them in with the content, and then they'll buy a product that you promote or whatnot?
That's an excellent question, and I do think that people may be able to sell products better on Periscope than they can on Blab, because Periscope puts you on a pedestal. You're already on a pedestal because you're the broadcaster. You're the only one there. Blab breaks it down. You got to keep it real on Blab.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay. And Marcel, I'm not ignoring you. If you have anything to say, please jump in. But Eileen is kind enough to talk.
And when I have something to say, I'll do like this.
Okay. So what Eileen, contrast and compare the power of Periscope relative to the power of Blab when it comes to content creation and influence.
I will say this, and this is just kind of some behind the scenes, and I'm going to include some hearsay in this, guys. So don't hold me to it. I know we're on the record. Kim Garst is a very popular social media person. And right now they're calling her the queen of Periscope. And I remember seeing her on her very first scope. And so I watched her as she kind of progressed, because I was more into Periscope then, because I don't even know if Blab was out, or I was new to Blab. So I was still watching scopes back then. And it wasn't not long. And, she says this, she said it on many interviews, maybe 3 weeks before she had a Periscope course out. Now, when she came to Blab, and there was a lot of speculation, is Kim going to have a Blab course? And I don't think she ever did. If she did, she didn't promote it publicly here on Blab. But I did hear someone say, this is the rumor part, that Kim said, Blab is not easy to monetize. I'm not saying it's not easy to monetize. I'm just using her because we're talking about social media, and Kim is someone who's very up there in terms of social media. She's very well known, and she's good. I get one of her ebooks, and when I get her ebook, I read it.
Okay,
and she got some good stuff.
See, I think the difference. Okay, go ahead, Marcel.
I just wanted to say that there's a lot of people on social media as a whole promoting other people and other shows and different things from all across the social media, right? And again, I said this earlier, it's just really a matter of perspective. Just like when Eileen said, some lady was great on social media, great person doing this, and people are saying, and it still boils down to her perspective. When it comes to Blab, when you compare that to Periscope, everybody likes to do that. And they're both spiders, but one is the deadly black widow and one is the little common little house spider, but they're both spiders. So Blab is so much different from Periscope, and people love to compare the two. And the reason people don't have the success that they think they should have on Periscope with Blab is because they don't know how to use Blab with all its tools. Blab has a lot of power, much more power than Periscope, but people don't understand how to unlock that power. So it's not as good. And if they knew that, they would. I just wanted to add that to what you were saying, Eileen. I think people just don't know how to use Blab for all of its power, because you can use Blab just as you can use Periscope by locking out all the rooms, for instance, right? Now you've got the almost done. Now you've got the Periscope dynamic, but guess what? Then you can add in calls. That is huge, but people don't know how to use that. So that's all. I just wanted to make.
But see, that goes against the paradigm of Blab. Like, Blab is about community and about discussion between four people. Periscope is about ego and about can you like, I call my Periscopes Talk to Me Internet, because I'm so used to talking that I need the interaction with the people in my scopes. I can't just do a monologue. So the issue is there's a dramatic difference. Like, I would say it's easier to influence people on Periscope than it is Blab. You have to work to influence people on Blab. Where Leslie runs this year, whereas on Periscope it's much easier once you develop your tribe. So what do you, Eileen? What do you think about that?
Just kind of segueing a little bit away from the concept of Blab, but when you're talking about tribes, there is a social media site that I belong to that's called Triber.
Yep.
And because of my involvement with Triber and how Triber works really quickly, you just you can sign up with Twitter or Facebook or whatever, and you enter your RSS feed, which you only can do that if you have a blog or if you have a podcast or YouTube channel. And people in your tribes will share your content on social media. You share theirs, they share yours, or sometimes you never share theirs. They always just share yours. It just depends. And you can build your own tribes. You can invite people to your tribes. You can kick people out of your tribes. You can join other tribes, the whole bit. I love it. I absolutely
Why do you love it?
Love it. Because before Blab, right? The social media influencers that I met and that I know and that began to know me were from Triber. But now everybody knows me from Blab.
Describe Triber some more, because it seems
it's a platform. Okay. It's a website. You go there, you log in with your Twitter or your Facebook. It only works, guys, if you have a blog.
Okay.
Or if you have a YouTube channel.
Or an RSS feed.
Or you need an RSS feed. That's the point.
You could have an RSS feed that you want to promote, right? It could be Sports Center or whatever.
Right. And every time you publish a new article, your feed, it'll pop up in Triber. So people see almost like a Twitter feed, but only the interface looks different. It's just like a single stream of everybody who's in the tribe, their content. And then you have sharing buttons underneath of each post that will say, Facebook, Twitter, Pinterest, stumble upon. And there might be a Google Plus button there. I don't know. I don't even use that. So,
but okay, let's go back to the concept of content creation in social media. Like, what do you think the dynamic between the content creator and social media is? Because how is it different than any other traditional media? Like, I think that the Periscope experiment is fascinating because I think it's brutal. Like, it's a brutal evolutionary kind of thing where you have to like figure out how to sort of get people interested in what you have to say. And Blab is like Periscope on training wheels. It's because Blab is much nicer. It's a much nicer environment. Whereas Periscope is brutal. It's like, entertain me now. So, what do you think about that, Marcel?
I think that when you're talking about social media, you're talking about use case first of all. Anytime you're dealing with social media, you're going to have different use cases for it, right? And that could depend based on your brand or based on what you're doing that day, right? For instance, with Blab, you may have something that you like, and Sean and the guys do this all the time. they have something that they want to present to the audience. So if you notice, they do it in the style of a Periscope first. They come on, they lock the rooms, right?
Yep.
And they say, here's what we want to talk about. Let's get our information out. So you can shut up and hear it. And then they'll open it up so that you can talk to them and we can exchange ideas. Now, that's huge. And it's no different from what they're doing on Periscope, except for we have that dynamic in Blab. And that's what I mean when I say people don't understand how to use it. Now, the other thing is somebody wrote on the side here that people don't want to share. These people over on Periscope who just will not come over here, it's because they don't want to share. They have to be the king of their castle, right? And that's why you don't get celebrities over here and all that, because they don't want to get too close. So I don't know. I just wanted to point that out as it relates to what you're talking about. I believe.
Go ahead, Eileen.
And actually, that's how I do my podcast. I do the same thing. I started off here on Blab because I like recording it here because I feel comfortable. Marcel hasn't been here for a while, so he doesn't know I'm here every day. I've been here every day since I joined Blab.
Well, when I was here, you were here every day. So.
Right, exactly. So that hasn't stopped. So I record I let everybody who's in the room who attend the podcast know I'm recording, and I have my show notes written out. So that might go on for 10, maybe 15, but I can always pause the recording, take a question if a really good question comes up, then go back to finishing my show notes, and then I open the room up.
Okay, and here's an interesting concept. Do you think we've reached a new paradigm when it comes to the personal brand of celebrities? In that, because as Stern Fan Nation mentions, you get to know people on a much more personal level. Do you think that once celebrities, should they ever come to Blab, which they may or may not, but because I refer to the type of celebrities that will come to Blab eventually, in the near term will be has-beens and wannabes with existing fan bases, that they will have to be used to being grilled significantly worse than they are in the past about their personal life. In knowing about their personal life in itself will be content creation. Marcel.
Again, this is a great question, because this is again where we get into one, use case for Blab, and then two, understanding how to use it. Now, let's say I'm one of those celebrities, right, that want to get connected with my fans. The use case should be, let me come on here, let me lock out the seats, but I've already got a couple of people who I know are vetted, and they're not going to come at me crazy, because I can't afford that. I can't afford to be asked a question I don't want to deal with my public.
Yeah.
And then what'll happen is we can still seemingly, because it's going to have to be like that, look like I'm here just opened up to whoever wants to ask me something and just talk to those people that are around me. And then I could have someone who is vetting them, the live folks on the side. It has to be like that, because they have something at stake and they can't risk.
See, I don't agree.
Okay.
I think that we reached a new era where the whole vetting process, not going to happen. Either you sink or swim. Either you're willing to roll with the punches, or you just don't. You just move on and don't even participate. Brett, what's your opinion?
On content being king, it depends on who's delivering the content and what the content is.
Why do you say that?
Well, I've seen a lot of people out there who believe that they are putting out content, but it's absolute garbage, not even worthy of toilet paper.
But that's your idea, though. To be fair,
different
perspective. It's about,
Yeah, it's
I
my
said the same
subjective opinion.
different words.
Because I hate the Kardashians, but they're making millions.
And, there's no accounting for taste, as they say. But isn't, the interesting thing is, if the Kardashian, we're in the, it's possible that Periscope and to a limited extent Blab is going to be reality television 3.0. Like Survivor was 1.0, the Kardashians 2.0, and Blab and Periscope 3.0. Is that a possibility?
I don't understand.
Okay, what I'm saying is, let me run it down for you. All right, 1.0 was Survivor, where we were all like shocked that Richard won the first Survivor. That was a big deal that he won that. Like that was the thing that started the whole reality television era. Now the Kardashians come and they make a whole industry out of a whole cottage industry out of themselves, just being themselves. That's 2.0. Now 3.0 is democratization of the reality television to such an extent that the average person, just any old person who happens to have a strong opinion about something or whatever, they have an opportunity to brand themselves, have a personal brand, even become a celebrity in a limited sense. That's what I'm talking about. So, does anybody have an opinion on that?
Yeah, well, I think that the Kardashians is a perfect example. And I was so surprised, which I didn't know this, to see that Kanye, even though he's not considered a Kardashian, so to speak, but he's part of that clan, has been awarded some type of fashion award 2 years in a row. And I'm like, huh? I didn't even know he was that steep into the fashion industry. And I don't know if it's because of him being bought into that, because we know Kanye was already a celebrity and a big personality before he even hooked up with Kim or whatever. But I just thinking of that whole concept of them having all these shows and spinoffs, and like even they did the top 10 Instagram posts of 2015, the most liked Instagram posts, and it was Kendall Jenner with her hair shaped in hearts laying, and she had this beautiful thing on, and she's gorgeous, don't get me wrong, but I'm just like, yeah, this is really something else. These folks.
So Marcel has something to say.
Yeah, in relation to what Eileen's speaking about, Field Marshal Goering, I believe, Goering or something, Hitler's right-hand man, right, came up with this quote. If you feed, the minute you say Hitler, people think, but if you feed people garbage, or if you feed people a lie long enough, they'll believe it, right? If you feed people garbage long enough, they'll start asking for garbage sandwiches, okay? Now, the Kardashians, a lot of people don't realize this, is they've purchased the controlling part of E. That's where they're on. That's their network. Mm-hmm. So they get to spew as much garbage as they want on there. Mm-hmm. And there's something to be said about branding, just like on the radio. Again, when those songs, half of them aren't any good, but we just hear them all the time. And we just start to, it's just something that fits into your psyche. That's where broadcast commercialism comes from. When we play commercials and you just keep brush your breath, you're just singing it and it's in your head. I'm almost, so that's, what you're talking about. Kanye is smart. And he said, well, he would love to broaden his brand to be something that he can sell clothes or clothing line or whatever. And that's the vehicle for it. Now, let me just go back real quick and say this because I got to go. You have to protect your brand. And when you come on here as a celebrity, B, C, D, or Z, and you're recklessly putting your brand out there to be targeted in a way that you don't want it to be, you can't do that. And people who come on here don't know anything about brand or branding or protecting their brand or anything. They just come on, Hail Mary, and I need anybody can come over. And
okay, don't go anywhere, Marcel, because I want to talk to you about this. Okay, the issue is what, as I understand it, Blab believes that it can that the content will bubble up to the surface, self-generated organically through the Blab system itself. That's why they haven't approached celebrities. And so, is it possible that the okay, we're frozen here. Is it possible? I'm frozen.
I'm not frozen.
Okay, I'm frozen.
You're frozen.
I'm frozen.
Okay.
All right.
A little cold over there. Huh?
Okay, here we go. Okay, I froze it for a second. So anyway, the people are going to have to come to grips with the fact that they are sort of people that bubble at the top are going to have to come to grips with the fact that they are de facto celebrities in their little bubble. What do you think about that? Like they're going to have to work with their brands and so forth.
Yeah, they're gonna have to understand that they have a brand, and they're gonna have to understand how to work that brand. Right now, they don't. And remember when Lee was in, I was talking about how, how being in radio or TV and things like that, you just learn so much about it. It's broadcasting. No matter what you want to call it, it's broadcasting. And you have to learn various principles about that. And some people are just getting on the blab and just turning their cameras off for the first time ever in their lives. So it's a different world, and Blab and Periscope and all these places are really, they mimic what we know in the broadcast world, but people are on it without it. It's like operating on people, and you never went to school to be a doctor.
Okay, well, here's an interesting point. There's something called Fire Talk, which is similar to Blab, but it's excellent for content producers. Like it's got high quality video, high quality audio, and podcasters love it. But it doesn't.
Marcel knows it well.
But it doesn't have any community. It has zero community, as best I can tell.
It does.
So, like, do you think that Blab and its sort of because it has community, it is the edge against Fire Talk?
I don't want to not go ahead. Do you have something to say, Eileen? Because
I honestly only went on Fire Talk looking for Marcel, and, and every time, if he wasn't live at the time, I wasn't able to watch it. I had difficulty. I was challenged with trying to find what I wanted to watch on there.
It's not ready.
And so I would say that Blab definitely has all kinds of advantage. Yeah. I won't be surprised if Fire Talk doesn't even make it through.
They'll make it, and I'll tell you why. But Blab, first of all, look, Blab is hands down the very best, and I don't care. I'll debate it forever. Right? It's the very best out there. I'm telling you now. But if you notice, right? Fire Talk that we just mentioned, and then Periscope, and then all the others, right? Because there's zillions, right? They all have pretty much principally the same thing, and then they all veer off and do this one other thing, right? What Fire Talk does is it allows you to have a playlist that you can inject, and you can go away, and it'll play like it's live. That's great if you can embed that into, because you want 24-hour live. That's huge. You can monetize that immediately, right? Now, let's get back to what you were talking about, though. You were talking about community. Community means training wheels, right? When you're doing this, if you don't know how to ride a bike, you need training wheels. Well, if you don't have anybody connected to you, you need to be connected to a community. I don't need to be connected to a community. I have a totally different way of monetizing and promoting and even broadcasting, right? I don't use Blab to broadcast. I don't use the community to sell to. I only come in here to hang out with you guys because I miss you after a while. And I have a different model for monetizing. It has nothing to do with how many people I'm connected with or any of that. And it's a proprietary thing that I've used my years of working in radio and TV and stuff and being out in the street in real time. And I put it together and I learned, and it's amazing. But I've even tried to share it. Let me show you something about community. I tried to share it. And sometimes people are so stuck on where they are and what they're doing that they will shun any new idea. They're like, I don't want to hear that. So I'm like, hey, fine. So that's another element to it. And we need to, I'm telling you something, last thing, we need to start sharing. Everybody's holding I'm doing this. I'm not going to tell you. And it's nothing more than what the next person's doing anyway. But somehow they think, oh, no, you can't come in here and get on. It's amazing. And when they realize, because that's what this whole internet is based on, getting a virus from other folks. If you don't take their virus or give someone a virus, you can't win. It's viral. It's a viral game, and they don't understand that. And when they do, then everybody's going to win. More people will win when more people accept the cold virus that we're trying to give them.
Okay. And Lee is back.
Oh, Leslie asked a good question, so I want to answer it. Do we think that Blab is predominantly people are trying to monetize? Absolutely not. And I would say that, like Marcel said earlier, that people come on here and they've never broadcasted before. And really, that's what they made Blab for. They didn't make Blab for professional broadcasters. They made it for the average, everyday person like Shelton who has something to say. And they wanted to provide a broadcasting platform for them.
Yes, and I know, yes, Leslie Runs has asked several questions, but in the court, it's difficult to like manage asking questions when you're having a discussion. Leslie also asked a question about dead airtime. I think on Blab, this is not radio, so sometimes you just pretty much have people staring at each other, and there's lots of dead airtime, and there's nothing going on. So it's not like it's. I would throw out all your preconceived notions of radio and dead airtime out the window. On Periscope, yes, you do feel like you have to fill airtime, but on Blab, I don't care. If it's quiet, it's quiet. Because that's just the nature of Blab, is that you have the opportunity to like have lots of dead air. So
So did we solve any problems in my absence, or
no? Yeah. What did we solve, Eileen?
We had solved that somebody else came on here and said the same thing I said, but he just said it in a much different, more colloquial language that seemed to hit home.
Colloquialisms. I've gone, as someone has gone to school. Hey, Shelton, let me ask you a question, man. What the hell do you think you're doing here?
What? Why are you here?
I wanted to ask you that. No, honestly, because when you answer, then I'm gonna tell you what I think, and I'm gonna give you a compliment.
But are you in this Blab, the specific Blab?
In this particular, no. And what you're doing on Blab? What the hell are you doing? What is your show? What is this? What do you call it?
What's the purpose of doing it, huh?
What the hell?
Okay, the purpose is I enjoy talking. I enjoy talking to interesting people, having interesting discussions, and I do not have an agenda. I just enjoy talking, and what's happening is I bumped up against I bumped up against the podcasters, and the podcasters are taking things very seriously, and they take audio and video, and like my voice is too high, and my background sucks, and I'm like, dude, I'm just like to talk, and I just like to ask people questions. And yes, Marcel.
Let me tell you why you are going to be really successful. You're already successful at this shit, because every time I come on, you got 20, 40 people in here, right? And look at you. There is nothing, don't take this the wrong way. It's going to be hard, but there's nothing about you that's exciting or different and cool and groundbreaking or anything. Right? And
you're completely boring.
And you don't even bother to fucking make a background that we care to look at, right? So, but hold on. Here comes a compliment. It's coming, right? I had to berate you first. No, I'm just kidding. But so what you're doing is, and probably without even knowing it, right? You're doing the Johnny Carson, right? See, you're bringing the content in. Fuck you. You're not the star. You're nothing. But you are really good at moderating. I'm telling you, you're really, somehow you naturally, rightly, you naturally figured out how to moderate and say, stop, hold on, go. Okay, that's enough. You've been going too long on that fucking point. Excuse me, cursing. I get excited. Well, Eileen, go. Hold on. I'm almost done. So, Eileen, you go. Who point? Hey, anybody want to pick up on that? If you thought that was good, if you thought it was crap, Lee, let's talk about this. You're already ready with another thought starter. You, my friend, are doing the old age Johnny Carson, bringing in the guest, because without the guest, you're nothing, pal. And we come because we like the way you keep the order of the room. I get to say a few things. Lee gets it, and the audience loves it. You don't even realize what you've built here. Go ahead, Lee. I just wanted to point that out because it's incredible.
I think you're absolutely right in your assessment and description of Shelton. Now, I'll take it one step further. If he were to implement a few things, he would be more dynamic, as opposed to having 25 in here. He could have 2,500.
Yes.
See, so it's the little things that you may not be aware of that could make major differences.
I absolutely agree. You're absolutely right.
And don't change your hairstyle there. Leave that.
What do I do about my voice though? My voice is too high.
No, your voice is.
Man, forget
the
about
podcasters. My voice is too high.
Whoever
said that to you doesn't know what the hell they're talking.
They don't know what they're talking.
The more nerdy, and the more. See, you're non-threatening. Nobody. I'm telling you, that's why Oprah won. Oprah was this fat black chick who was just like people would watch because you can't hate on her because I'm better than Oprah, and then she just slowly won us all over. That's what it. Yeah. You're just don't change anything. Those are your gifts. I'm telling you, man.
Listen, you ever heard of Mark Levine, the talk show host?
No, I have not.
He's got a horrible, irritating voice, very nasal. Yeah, Mark Levine. Yeah. He's horrible. His voice is horrible, but he's on probably 200 radio stations. So but he has great content. He's got great presentation. Voice sucks, not very ear pleasing, but he delivers engaging, compelling content.
Okay, guys, on that note, thank you very much for your time. This could go on for a long time.
Show now? Are you kidding me?
He's leaving on a high.
Lee, I will make you. Thank you very much for your time.
I could never.